and let's call it eternal peace in the Middle East.
It is a big promise and a historic task, one that many before have failed to achieve. However, this is a president who truly believes that he is the only one who can deliver it. Not just a ceasefire in Gaza, a peace forever across the whole region. But can President Donald Trump really deliver an eternal peace to the Middle East? These are the key details from the president's momentous peace proposal. After hours of talks in the White House and months of pressure, this is the moment that President Trump and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told the world that they had agreed a deal to end the war in Gaza.
So this is a big day.
Not without the president's usual hyperbole.
One of the great days ever in civilization.
Trump's 20-point plan to end the Gaza conflict laid out in full, setting out almost every detail, from an immediate ceasefire today to potential Palestinian statehood in the future. And who will oversee it? The US president himself, and a British politician with his own history in the Middle East.
The Board of Peace, sort of a beautiful name, the Board of Peace, which will be headed, not at my request, believe me, I'm very busy, but we have to make sure this works. The leaders of the Arab world and Israel and everybody involved asked me to do this, so it would be headed by a gentleman known as President Donald J. Trump of the United States. That's what I want, is some extra work to do, but it's so important that I'm willing to do it. And one of the people that wants to be on the board is the UK former Prime Minister, Tony Blair. Good man, very good man.
It could not be further from Trump's first proposal for the future of Gaza after the war. This AI video showing a Gaza Riviera resort featuring a Trump Gaza tower that the president promoted on his social media. President Trump now joins a long list of political leaders that believed they could deliver peace to the Middle East. Trump himself has tried before. During his first presidency, he mediated the Abraham Accords, agreements to normalize relations between Israel and Arab nations. President Trump believes his new plan for peace could lead to more countries agreeing to normalize relations. But before the Abraham Accords, and long before President Trump, there were decades of attempts at an eternal peace in the Middle East. In November 1967, after the Six-Day War, the UN Security Council unanimously adopted a resolution that Israel must withdraw from the territory it occupied after the war. The resolution referenced the need to work for a just and lasting peace in the Middle East in which every state in the area can live in security. It remains the central pillar in the framework for peace in the Middle East more than half a century later. Then, in the aftermath of the Yom Kippur War in 1973, the US and Soviet Union gathered Arab and Israeli leaders in Geneva. But as the Cold War superpowers refused to invite the PLO, Syria's delegation refused to turn up, leaving only Israel, Egypt, and Jordan. The Geneva Conference was the beginning of reconciliation between Egypt and Israel, which culminated in the 1978 Camp David Accords, negotiated by President Jimmy Carter, and the beginning of peace between the two countries after 30 years of war. But the Camp David Accords also presented a framework for peace in the Middle East. It sought to establish an autonomous, self-governing authority in Gaza and the West Bank. But it failed, instead creating a division in the Arab world, which saw Egypt sidelined for its recognition of Israel without resolving the Palestinian issue. Then, in the early 1990s, there was the Madrid Conference, seeking to revive the stalled peace talks once again. And it led to two major peace deals in the Middle East. There was a peace deal between Jordan and Israel in 1994, making Jordan the second Arab state to recognise Israel after Egypt. But also there was the Oslo Accords, peace deals signed between Israel and the PLO. The Oslo Accords again attempted to implement the UN Security Council resolution, promising peace in the region. It created the Palestinian Authority, but did not create a definite Palestinian state. It is perhaps the most famous attempt at creating a peaceful region, but it too failed to deliver an eternal peace. Instead, it started a new round of violence and further tested the potential for peace not just between the Israelis and Palestinians, but in the region as a whole. The Oslo Accords were backed up in President Bill Clinton's final months in the White House with a summit at Camp David, one last throw of the dice by the Democrat president to bring peace to the Middle East. Indeed, both sides agreed they had never been closer to an agreement in January 2001. But it ultimately failed. Peace again, not achieved. For the next decade and a half, attempts were made but little progress, until now. President Trump has been incredibly vocal about wanting to win the Nobel Peace Prize. If his 20-point peace plan is successful, it could be a truly historic occasion. But history suggests the peace it creates might not be eternal.